Your program is Sankofa. Your host here is Maponga J, taking you through the ancient times, digging and unearthing our own narratives as African people. And with us in the studio today is King BHUNGANI III, who is taking us through the ancient traditions of marriage rights. And we've just been discussing a very interesting and fundamental principles here. How the girl is killed, not killing physically, but how a girl is killed from her mother's house, and she's now reborn in her new family. Just before the break, you were taking us through the ceremony where kutelwa inyongo.
Yes.
And you were explaining kuti inyongo imele ini.
Yes. Now,
what does it represent?
Now, the girl, it is a connection between the living and the ancestors. So that's, because remember, those cattle, they live in that kraal. And in that kraal, there are graves. In that kraal, there are spirits of our forefathers. So it connects with that. That's why you'd see, in most cases, when you go to India, you'd understand how a cattle is very important. Because it's an ancient history. Then, there's this young girl. She is now re-handed back to the women who are responsible for culture and traditions and customs of this particular family, of the BHUNGANIs.
But
Men are no longer involved now. Even the boy who has married this young girl, he is no longer involved. It then depends of her catching, because she is going to a school now. What we would rename it an initiation school. She's now being
into this family.
Into this family. She's now taught about the traditions of this family, the culture, the custom, how to behave in this family. It could take months. Then after that, they will then prepare.
Let's balance it off.
Yes.
While the women are doing this,
Yes.
What's happening with the boy?
Same thing happens on the other side. To remember, now you are no more a young boy. You are now going to be a husband. As we told you, as we have prepared you all these years, this is the time. That woman who has come in there, it's your property now. Now, property meaning not property as property. It is you who are going to be in charge now. Remember, you are now representing the forefathers of this family.
Into this new family.
Into this new family. You are going to extend the same family from our family.
So it was balanced.
Absolutely.
This whole thing of women's rights, men's abuse. It's
absolutely.
So men.
There was no need for abuse, because that man was taught how to behave in front of a woman, how to treat a woman. There was no need for those abuse, because he knows that if he touches that woman, he touches one of their own. And when you, as the husband, a newlywed, when you look at this woman, you now know that it is one of your own, but with respect. That's why when you speak to her, that's why everything is done through her. If you want to do imisebenzi, you want to do whatever that you want to do, you must consult with this woman. That's why they will continue to say, when you want to marry another woman, a consultation must be made to this woman, because she is now the pillar.
But actually, in ancient times, and maybe I want you also to assist us, just correct that as a sideline. Whereas in modern men, you wake up in the morning, you have seen someone with more curves than the one you have, and you make a decision to choose.
No, it does not happen.
But in ancient times, how did it used to happen? Who used to choose?
Now, remember in the ancient times, it is the gods that would come to the family, or to the seer, or to the head of the family that deals with the spirits of this house. To say, there is this situation. Like, for an example, there's a house that needs to be arisen. It's a spiritual house. That woman that is going to be, and then you might be chosen to be the one that leads that particular process, meaning to be in charge of this particular. Now, that woman, when she comes into the family, she knows that what is it that brought her into this place.
Purpose.
Absolutely. That's it. She does not go beyond. She knows that she is the wife of, because in most cases you find out that Mpangazi, to make an example, died without a wife.
Okay.
She has a problem in the other side to say, how can he be related as somebody who's
But left nothing.
Absolutely.
But left nothing. Then he wants also to come back.
Revive the house of Mpangazit.
Then a woman comes back into this. But who? I want to just find out who would choose.
It's not you.
Okay.
It is the elders. But through the connection of the spirits, it's the spirits that will relate the message to say, you need to take a woman for this particular purpose. It is not your woman, but it is a woman of... In other cases, again, it happens that you find out that you were a twin.
And your twin died or something?
Died. And then you need to do what? To take for your brother a wife. And when you go in there, in that space...
It's not you.
It is not you. You go on behalf of your brother, but at the same time, a child who's going to be born there is not your child.
It's named from...
It is your brother's child. Like, for an example, if you remember, when Ngobo had children, whenever Ngobo had children, he would kill boys. Then the nation then decided to say,
get a brother?
The brother must then enter the wife of Ngobo on behalf of who? Of Ngobo. They made sure that Ngobo disappeared. Then Hatebe, when he entered Loma Hlubi, and then the child came out, his name was Lomo II. Hatebe knew that this was not his child, it was his brother's child, who needs to take over their family.
They resurrected the house that had perished.
Absolutely.
Wow, some heavy stuff.
So that is the tradition. So going back to the traditions, then this woman is taught, then this boy is taught on the other side. Then this woman is now released. Now both of them, they know that.
They're coming from school.
Yeah,
they're graduates.
Absolutely, they're graduates. Then they know that the place where they live, or the place where they've put, because whilst all this thing is happening, their house has been built. It is not them who are building the house. It's the nation, the family, the community. The BHUNGANIs. They come together, they build.
Identify a plot for him.
Absolutely.
Everything.
They put the cows, everything is there.
Wow.
While she's under the school, this woman, she's been taken to the house to understand, to say this house, that's why you see those rondables. This is where you'd end up. When you passes this house, you must know that you pass at the back, because in you must understand this is this is what happens, and then you'd only enter into this space for a particular reason. Then the man and the female, they then bring them together to tell them, to say, you don't own this house. This house belongs to your forefathers, to your sisters. That's why about him.
So even when you are taking your wife in terms of the consummation of the marriage,
yes,
you are not sleeping with your wife or husband in your own privacy.
No, you don't.
You are having this woman in the presence of your ancestors.
Because remember, this you are having ancestors who are guarding you 24 hours or 24/7, as they put it now. Wherever you walk, they are here. Wherever you sit, they are here. And in that space, that's why it's very important to undergo those rituals, so that when you engage sexually with her, remember, sex, it is a spiritual engagement. A lot of people don't know that. Sex, it's a spiritual engagement. That's why you need to make sure that you follow all these processes. After engaging on those processes, then your ancestors, they come into that space. And then when you are to engage your wife spiritually, what do? You go to the umsamo.
Prepare yourself.
And say,
so umsamo na kwa gogo.
Yeah, you say, do not be surprised. Tonight, I want to engage spiritually with my wife.
Okay.
They would say, okay. Then they know if those warriors, they will be outside. And then what will happen? They know that when you are done, spiritually again, when you slept with your wife, what do you do? When you are done, you go and cleanse yourself. You don't sleep after finishing. You go and cleanse yourself spiritually, so that with water, so that they are able to come and talk to you in your dreams.
Wow. It's getting heavy now. So you go and report
Yes.
that I'm going to enter.
Absolutely.
And after you enter, you come back
Yes.
and you must go through a cleansing process.
Absolutely. Then you cleanse. By then, whilst you are reporting, you then ask for their goodness. You ask for their blessing so that they must give you a child. Because what do we do today? We just sleep for fun with women.
My word.
In the ancient
We
times,
go and buy tablets
yes,
to sleep with our women.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the ancient times, you never slept with a woman just for fun. You slept for a purpose. She knew also that she was there for a purpose. That's why today we are able to abuse our women. That's why we are able to abuse our women today.
Because we don't have an understanding.
We don't have an understanding. How do we engage with these women? Because these are the people who carries you for
9 months.
These are the people that give back to you, who are having this thing that you don't have as a male. It is called the embryo. Very important.
Embryo.
The embryo. And they carry you, and then they nurture you into becoming what you are today. That's why you have to respect them in every given course as women. That's why when you engage with them spiritually, sexually, you seek their permission. You don't just come and say, no. You prepare spiritually also to say, I am going to ask for the gods for your permission to enter your space. Do you allow me? She would say, yes, no problem. And then this guy would then go into the space and say, we have spoken with Madlagazi. We are now asking for your blessing to have a child.
So children were planned.
Yes.
Children were prayed for.
Absolutely.
Children were called on.
Yes.
Before they come into existence.
Yes.
So there was a whole conversation again in the spiritual realm before people could actually even look at it. And we're back again where we started. By so saying we're back where we started in that, how then another child is born.
Absolutely.
And the cycle would go on and on. I want us to backtrack a little bit and maybe pick up one or two issues just in the background. In the event, kube nokumithisana. Even the event that then there's someone gets pregnant, what we presented is a perfect picture where things should happen like this, and deviations happen in the family. Where a woman, and this has become very important, because here is the woman who has been allocated, here is a woman who has already been paid and deposited for, here is a woman who has been spoken for. I want us to address rape. We are keeping this girl in custody for BHUNGANI. Pure. We're doing our best. Iyavela impohlo. Siyavela isigebengo. A thug walks into the family. For whatever reasons. I want us to understand, maybe help us to understand the gravity of rape.
Absolutely.
In ancient times. Give us some notes there. I'm just painting this picture first, so that at least even the ancestral connections, the communications that are happening, and then another young man thinks he's got a right to violate a young girl in a family. Now, what did that mean in ancient times?
It was taboo. It was abomination in the ancient times. That's why you carry that sin until you arrive at the site of the ancestors, and on the side of the ancestors you'll be punished.
It continues.
It continues. It's not something that, because remember, as we go back, this is a child that there was a reason. Remember what I just said now. You ask for that child.
I'm reflecting from that.
Yes.
But, and now I want to also look at maybe the crimes that would happen. First, let's start deal with the rapist first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the foundation is that we have asked for this child to come on earth to exist. This is a child of the ancestors. This is a child that was brought here by the God or by the gods. This is a child that exists. You then decide. Now remember, as she was growing up, she's now circulated by these ancestors. Now what we have done, you have entered a space that they knew by bringing her on earth. She was going to be doing something. She was going to be somebody on earth. You then enter that space illegally. By entering that space illegally, you have cast yourself and your generations to come, and also your family. Remember, when I started talking, I said before you marry a child, you'd look at that family, if are they cast or not. It's because of these issues that I'm talking about.
Wow.
Then that family, because you are not, as you the rapist, you are not only casting yourself, but your entire name clan.
Is
Remember, I made an example of
now,
the Mpeles and the Stoles.
take us through maybe that history, a small little sideline.
Yes.
What happened on the Mbeles and the Stoles?
Now, what happened at Msinga many years ago? There was the family that was ruling that place called Elenge.
Elenge.
It was the Mpeles.
Pambele la.
Gampele. Then the Stoles then came and asked a place to stay. The Mpeles did not have a problem, they gave them a place. Later on, the Stoles decided to kill the king of the Mpeles. And then when they tried to resolve this matter, then the Mpeles said,
The only way we can talk.
the only way we can talk, please, Vusan Lumutu,
Resurrect him.
resurrect him. They could not do it. And then the Mpeles then declared with the voice of the gods to say any child of the Mpeles must never marry the Stoles, because you would have casted an abomination into your family. Thus the Mpeles then moved away from the Lenge into where you find them today in the Eastern Cape.
And the Stoles have not resolved that issue.
Absolutely. They have never resolved.
I want us to mention something there just before we go for a break. Now, when we are talking about linking up our families, understanding our history, these are the issues that are important. Right now, you find a young girl and boy in Cape Town, in East London, in KwaZulu-Natal. You are a Stole, he is a Mbele, and you don't know the history from where your families are coming from. That there was a curse that happened in the past, and the declaration was made that there is no Mbele child who must marry a Stole child. For there are curses in that space. And you wonder why things are not moving well into the future, simply because you've undermined the depth of the historical information that we are having. And with us on this program, we are getting into depth with these issues. Take me through some of this in the event of rape then.
Yes.
As a king,
Yes.
they drag a man in front of you.
Yes.
This man has raped a princess. He's
Now,
violated.
Remember, we are people who do not commit any sin. The only pronouncement that I can pronounce on this chap is to make sure that this boy, this rapist, must never live in our midst. We must make sure that we banish this child.
Okay.
He must leave our space because he has committed an abomination of the lifetime.
You don't want the curse around you.
Including the family must leave.
They must pack.
They must pack because we don't know that they might give birth to another rapist again in our midst. So they must leave because we don't want this nation to be cursed.
So that's where you now banish.
Absolutely. That's the way the punishment absolutely
But
comes.
would there be any retribution payments to be done before they go?
We don't want their dirty money, they must go. They must just take everything that is dead, because remember, if you keep anything that comes from their family, it is cursed.
Wow.
So you don't keep anything. They must just live with their things. And their house must be destroyed.
Burn it.
Burn it, must be destroyed. You must put the youth of that community. The community must make sure that anything that belongs to them must never surface. No man must point at the house to say, you see that structure there.
They used to be.
No. They must make sure that it is.
You
delete everything that is connected with these people.
Wow.
Because we are people who do not dwell into sin.
Because, Chief, what you are saying, Nkosiyami, what I think we are missing, even as a democratic country and as modern Africans, it is the resolute
Yes.
of and the purity
Yes.
of indigenous African governance systems,
That's true.
and how we dealt with crime to a level where we every family, therefore, when you notice that your son is beginning to move in the wrong direction, the impact and the ramifications of that crime would go throughout the whole family.
That's true.
It costed the entire family. But in modern days, where a boy does that and only he's isolated, and the family continues.
No. The family must go and deal with this thing. Wherever they are being punished, they must go and deal with this thing. How they do it is their problem.
Wherever they must go and reintroduce themselves.
They must first cleanse this particular process. They must deal with this particular thing. Because let me tell you, they will carry it from generation to generation to come.
So it's clear, and I think as king, I'll make a statement to the young boys as far as sexuality is concerned.
Remember, sex is a spiritual engagement. So you temper in that spirituality forcefully. Isn't that abomination? So we don't live with people who commit abomination. They must leave.
Banish them. Let's move. And I think I deliberately did this.
Yes.
Because many times in such conversations, people feel like we're always emphasizing on the girl child vis-a-vis the boy child. And hence I wanted us maybe to come from this angle where you are strong as a boy, you have muscles, and your muscles are not to force yourself
No, you don't.
on anyone's estate, because estate the estate that you are tampering with has been spoken for. Every African girl child is a princess.
Remember what I said earlier on. I have a child by the name of Somhlologas.
Now there you go.
And that child, I was in Abidjan. In my dream, a voice came and said, I am Somhlolo. I am coming back on earth. Now imagine raping that child.
What are you entering into?
You are finished. Yourself and your family are finished the rest of your life.
Let's tilt this slightly. I think we've handled the thugs on the outside. Let's move over to the girl child. And again, fully understanding the environment she is in and what she's being prepared for. The way she handled herself and carried herself.
Because remember, as she is there, she is now taught the traditions and the customs of this particular. She must now remember that she is now the face and the mouthpiece
of the new family.
BHUNGANIs.
Of the new family.
Of the new family. And she must conduct herself in a manner that is befitting. That's why she cannot come into the house of the BHUNGANIs with the short skirts.
Okay.
She cannot come to the house of the BHUNGANIs without covering, because when you cover and you cover your knees, you are now saying to the ancestors of this particular place, I am now respecting you. I bow. So that they give you many, many more blessings into this family. But if it is you, the girl child, who now wants to dictate terms in this family, you are now saying to those BHUNGANIs, they must move away from you. That's why you would hear that the husband and the wife, they're no longer gelling. They are fighting every day because the ancestors, now what is happening is a conflict of the absolute, a conflict of, of the spirits. It's a conflict of the spirits. It is a war now. Now, another thing, when you are now being poured by this girl into this family, you are now taught to say, you are not the one that has a right to go and speak on behalf of these children. Emsamu. Today, we've got women who want to talk on behalf of their children. Uma izinto zingalunganga. Bashisa impepha. Uyishisa kabani impepha?
Take me through that one quickly.
Because we know that in this family where you are being introduced,
there's someone
who deals with these factors. Why it is you
taking power to yourself?
Absolutely, because these ancestors, they have a structure, they have a hierarchy, and then when you are now
usurping power. Sort of.
Yes, you are now talking to them. When they stand up, because when you say Bhungani, kamakhulukhulu, dlube zamile emthonweni nona kasothondosa. When abamthimkhulu, they then come back, they say, somebody's calling us. Then who's calling? That is the person. Then they arrive, who is this person?
As Muslim.
As Muslim. Then she says, hi, Nazingane, but who are you?
We know the children, but we don't know you.
We don't know you. You, who? Then somebody says, no, is that one that was brought? They said, no, she does not have authority here. Why didn't she ask for the people who have authority to come and call us so that we are able to engage? Because remember, we are talking about two spirits here. We are talking about the Makehla, we are talking about the Magogos. Now, when you start calling Abomkulu and endlini yabo gogo, you see, you are conflicting the spirits now. Because
Bomkulu basesibayeni. Bogogo basemsamo. In other words, when you are addressing the male, you go to the crow.
Yes.
When you are addressing the female, then you go into the closets.
Now you, as the wife, you go to Lea Ndlabokoko. Then you call this.
You call the grandfathers.
You revoke the spirits. You say, Apuan, Makulu, Nina. Then they say, hey, whoa,
we don't stay
no.
here.
Then those who take decisions on behalf of the Bhunganis, now I'm talking about the tribunal, they then start punishing that house.
It's chaos there.
It's chaos there. Then you find out your child, they become now the Nyaupes now.
Let's go slowly. No, the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Let's just stress this thing. I want maybe to just on this first segment here to tie this thing nicely. From a girl that is born and identified and groomed,
yes,
to a girl that is now killed in her father's house,
yes,
and then to the girl that is born in the new family,
yes,
and given a new name,
yes,
in the new family.
Yes.
She comes in as a child,
yes,
and she is not born from the womb of this house.
yes.
She's born from the crawl,
yes,
of this house.
Of this house.
When we come back on top of the program, I want us maybe just start to delve now into this, into umfazi. How does a young girl move from being a girl, absolutely, to being a mother, absolutely, to being ugogo, absolutely, to finally to become idlozi lasekhaya?
These are stages.
I want us to go through that program. It's going to get very interesting on this program. We'll be back right after the break here in studio with me, King Bhungani the Third, taking us through some steps on your program, Sankofa. Your host, Maponga J.
Hello. Being a legal practitioner in South Africa in these challenging times demands lawyers that will help clients beyond legal issues. The ever-changing demands in commerce and tourism require lawyers who have sound and clear business and commercial knowledge, and that's where MB Chavangu Incorporated comes in. Our business, mining, tourism, health, labor, and economic knowledge encapsulated with law and litigation experience gives us an advantage in the legal sphere. Our experience in assisting businesses, government, and various industries with their needs puts us amongst the many progressive and striving law firms in South Africa. Now, to contact our attorneys for assistance with any of the mentioned fields and others, please call us on 012-341-4187 or send us an email on admin@chabangu.co.za. MB Chabangu Incorporated, where problems meet solutions.
Welcome back, welcome back. There's no better place to be on this beautiful Sunday morning, and we are happy for Corona. Sunday afternoon, we are happy for Corona to have all of you packed in your houses. And let's just have fun with this problem, and let's take some moments to learn and share some experiences. We as the great Bantu nations, our traditions are the same throughout the whole continent. They may vary from culture to culture, but if you look very closely in terms of the ceremonies, we share that common interest together. And for this morning, the greater part of the morning and the afternoon, we have been privileged and truly honored to have in our midst King BHUNGANI III from the Embo Kingdom, who is taking us through the paces of the past, how marriages used to happen in the past. I want us to have a nice little turn to just to conclude this part here, Umfaz. I want to maybe just discuss, but I want just maybe ask two questions. The first one is on Umfaz.
Yes.
What is Umfaz? From the time she's a girl to the time she becomes Ukoko.
Yes.
And when we come out, I want also to discuss Indod.
Right.
What is a man? And we can loop that out. When we finish this segment, then I want us maybe start looking at contemporary problems which the young people are facing, marriages are facing, divorces and remarriages, children outside wedlock, and women who refuse their children access to their surnames, who would now be the last part of the program.
Right.
And I'm saying so that you don't move away, because we're going to start now unpacking some of these contemporary problems that we have. Prostitutions, for example. What happens in that space in terms of people just sleeping around and etc. And so it is going to get very hot in here before you. So don't go away. Let's maybe start off with number one, Umfaz. A girl child. You take me to the end. I won't interrupt you.
Right.
When you are done with the girl child, the second one is the boy child. Just take us through the steps right up to the end.
Remember, the young girl is born, and I spoke about the two family, that is the husband and the wife, going to asking from God to bless them with a child.
But
let us agree that it becomes a female. Then this child, when she grows, she becomes very closer to the mother. She's now being prepared. When she reaches the age of 14, 15, she then goes to another stage of pubation. And in that stage of pubation, she goes to a sacred space where a certain tradition, education has been now introduced to her. And that it happens not at her homestead. It happens somewhere in the mountains, wherever there are certain women who are being appointed by the gods
to do that.
But that process, when it
would
happens,
be very interesting actually to pick. I said I will not interject. It would be very interesting to notice the birth of Shaka. That these girls had actually gone to this mountain, to this sacred place where they were going through the puberty. And it's just something happening in the back of my head.
Yes. So remember, before they are taken from male and female, or the boys and the girls, before they are taken, they always ask permission to their king. The king then goes and speaks to the gods to say, in this particular month, we are asking your permission for these particular girls to go for the initiation school. Then the gods then would agree. Then they slaughter, and then they have liquor there in the kraal, and then they are now protected. Today, that does not happen. That's why you see young children, they die in the initiation schools, because they've never seek permission. If even if they argue to say we have seek permission from the chiefs or the king, the question is that chief or a king connected with God, so that they are able to be protected, these kids? Or is that king or chief not having blood in their hands? Then, okay, they then take in there. In that school, there are people who are being appointed, lecturers, in that particular environment. They are taught to become women. They are taught to become the role models to raise their children in future. That's why when those lobolas they are being paid, that child is already being prepared from that. It's very important. It's very important. Then everything is then prepared on that. Then when they are there, there's a ceremony that they bring them back home. That ceremony then informs the family to say they are now ready
to become women,
to pay for the lobolas.
So a girl actually must go through the rites of passage first, before they are reintroduced back into the crore.
Absolutely. And then the same thing happens to a boy. Pubation also, but also there are people who are responsible on the other side, who are going to be responsible for the school to prepare this boy to become a man. The same thing happens also, the chief or the king then speaks to the ancestor. Then they send them over. Then they come back, they do a ritual at home, they accept them back, and then they are now ready to move. Now the issue is that whilst they are there, they know they are being prepared in that mountain to say, you are now going to give birth. You are now going to transcend from being a girl now. Today, when you leave this place, you are no more a girl. You are umfazi manje. You are going to be a woman of another clan that we don't know, because now remember, the families never informed them, those ones who are in the mountain.
Going after this.
Absolutely. You are going to be, and please, when you are there, she's been taught the ethics, she's been taught the conduct to say this is what is expected out of you when you go. And this, don't be surprised. You would have the spiritual engagement, that is the sexual engagement as a woman. Then they are ready. When that particular period comes or that stage comes, they are ready for that. When the cows, the dowry has been paid, she is now ready. She knows what would happen. That's why when she then comes into that family, she's now expected to perform a certain way, a conduct, ethics wise. But also in that family also, they then re-emphasize with their traditions and their culture to teach this young girl to say, you are now part of our family. This is our traditions, this is our customs, this is our culture. You are now part of this particular nation. And then the male also is been taught to say, you are not going to, there in the mountain, you don't beat your woman. This thing of beating women does not happen. We are expecting this from you as the male. You must respect your family. You must respect your children. You are going to have children in future. This is how your children would become your replica. If you beat women, they will continue beating women. Your children, if you are abusive, you are harassing, they will become exactly what you are. So you must change your behavior. Here we are teaching you so that when you go into the people, this is how you must behave. Then the family also does the same thing. Continue from the little stage into the time of pubation, and then from there they then hand him over to say that particular time when the young girl is on the other side with the older women being taught the culture and the tradition, this young chap also is being reminded of their duties. That's why it's very important as a male, you always respect your woman.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are learning here is quite critical. And I know the king is being very, very conservative in terms of his expounding. But when these schools for initiations were taking place, they were not just kindergarten schools.
Absolutely.
There was biology.
Yes, that's
anatomy.
Yes, that's why we told this young girl should be taught that this is what is going to happen to you.
Yes, I'm saying you're saying it at high level, but literally the conversation will go into introducing the woman
Yes.
to her full anatomy.
Absolutely.
What is happening to her,
Yes.
her biology
Yes.
in its details,
The
how
menstruation
to,
cycles, all those things.
and all those monthly cycles, herbs, diets
Yes.
will be taught.
Yes.
How to control your birth control issues
yes.
would be taught right there. How to count. Sometimes in some African cultures, they would now introduce the girls to the beads.
The beads,
Because now you're starting your periods. The red one is here. Count so many of them. Then with the time you're about to dry up, then they become orange. Then coming towards the back, then they become white. You're clean. Then the green ones, you're now fertile. You're ovulating. Then back again. So when you find a woman with beads on her waist, it was not just for decoration. It was actually her female sexuality, controlling her birth control issues around her waist. They don't need to have tablets, injections poked into them to control that, because Africans, we already had an extensive knowledge system on how to manage these things. I want us to move over to the...
Yeah, but before you move over, at that particular period of menstruation, that cycle, she would know traditionally that after that particular process happened, she would go and cleanse herself before she connect with this man.
Tell us something about men who sleep with women who are going through their...
This is now
take us through spiritually.
Remember spiritually, you are identifying yourself. Because that particular process, it's where the cleansing, the cycle happens, the dirtiness comes out. Then when this young girl is done with that, she goes to a certain place in the yard. She takes water and communicate with the spirit to say, thank you for cleansing me. I am now asking you to cleanse me with this water, because now I'm going to connect with my husband. I so wish to you, the gods, that if there's anything, please do not transfer it to this man.
Wow. So it's a woman who actually prepares and cleans herself.
Absolutely.
And cleanses herself to interact. Now when a man jumps in there during the periods, what if they eat red meat, these boys? What if
Now this is where your problems, they start to begin. Because you have taken the dirtiness. It's nyama.
Playing with blood.
Playing with blood, because that is dirty blood. Now these are the things that we must learn as men, so that when that particular cycle, and then that particular time also, the woman does not cook for the husband.
Stay away from the pots.
From the pots. That is very important in the ancient times, where you would have another woman to come and cook for this particular husband.
You have a time of isolation by yourself as a woman.
Absolutely.
Because you're dealing with some serious issues.
Absolutely, serious issues. When you are done, you cleanse, then you come back. By you coming back, we now know that you are clean.
Ready for
whatever that happens.
It's amazing. It's amazing as I'm listening to you how many marriages have broken apart. Because when women are going through some of these processes and their bodies and psychology demands for isolation, but due to work, due to employment, due to what, you're stuck in the same house, she must still cook, she must still go to work, she must still look after the house, she must still sleep with you, and things erupt.
Another thing that I want to add on what I'm talking about, there is a friend of this woman in the today's episodes. I don't know if you call it that way. The way women would conduct themselves today. You'd find out that there's this woman who has a friend where the husband died. Now traditionally, if you have a friend who the husband has died, in that process, you don't take her cell phone. You don't exchange anything with this woman, because she's in that period where it is called the darkness period. You don't sit in that mattress because you are paying solidarity to your friend. You can engage from afar.
You don't come close.
You don't come close because you have a husband at home.
You don't want to collect these things.
No, because what is going to happen to you?
So a woman who is going through her monthlies,
yes.
You don't sit on a mattress.
No, you don't. Two, even if the husband died, you don't sit in that mattress where now you still have the husband. Because what happens, you're going to kill your husband.
Wow, you're collecting other spirits.
Absolutely, you're collecting other spirits. You're going to kill your husband at home.
Stay away.
You take things from this woman who
is going through
yes,
bereavement.
yes. Then you come back at home at night. You come and cook for me. What is going to happen? You have finished me.
Papa man.
Another thing, another thing as men, when you meet somebody says, "Hi, mina ngashonelwa indoda. My husband died." Then you enter that space. You don't enter that space.
You're entering death.
Because that woman with the husband who has died, they've been engaging spiritually on sex for years. Now the sweat between the two is still there, connected.
She must go through a full length of cleansing.
Absolutely. Even if she has done that, in the ancient times, they would find another man whom does not have responsibility, just to take away the shadow. Isnyama. Then she is fit, and then she will be then released by the family to go and.
I like the raw language. Yeah. You must be cleaned there, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what
before she can be
because what happens? The husband is still here. When now you come in,
and
you sleep with this woman.
There is this thing.
You surprise why you've got bad luck.
Because let me be honest. We have modern women and modern boys.
Yes.
When the man has died,
yes,
while she's still organizing the coffin,
she's sleeping with another man outside. That's what happened.
Inside that blanket,
yeah, absolutely.
She's sending texts.
Absolutely.
She's
now she thinks that husband.
And he also. Yeah. The woman has just died, and you are there.
And then I always tell, one day I visited my cousin. His wife died. Traditionally, if you are a male, you don't sit on the mattress. There is a chair that you are given, and you must only use that particular chair until you are being cleansed. No one must sit in that chair. Dish also.
Plate,
cup, spoon, everything. No one. The person who must cook.
Blanket.
Yes, the person who must cook for you, including that particular woman also, the husband died. It is somebody who is in the same predicament, in the circumstances,
like
who
you.
does not have the husband also, who died. That person has a right to cook for that person. Not you, the one says, "I is my friend, I'm paying solidarity." You are killing your husband at home.
I can sense the depth.
Absolutely.
I can sense the depth. And so, and after that, what will happen to all these things now when you are being cleansed? Then they will take them up and
absolutely. What happens is that they will go and cleanse those things. Then I told my other cousin, "Why are you roving on seats? What are you doing?
Sit there,
and don't sit outside with friends. Go and sit in the house. We will come into the house and deal with you until you finish this process, until we bury your wife. After burying your wife, you know that this seat is your seat. The family then knows that this seat is not touched. Then we know that this is going to be a process of cleansing. And also, you don't say, because we have buried my wife, then you go sleep around. You don't do that. Until to a certain ceremonies that have been performed.
Have been done to cleanse you.
Remove you from that particular woman so that you become ready to move to another level.
Wow. I mean, I allowed the king here to just take a digression into this greater space here, because now we're going to be dealing with contemporary problems, and we've already started.
That's where the divorces comes in now.
Yes. You
take that dirtiness from that woman that you slept with, whom maybe a boyfriend died also, she did not even cleanse. You bring it here at home. You met with that woman, the boyfriend died around it. She was killed by the police. He was killed by the police. They did not even cleanse that girl, the family.
From this man?
From this man. You say, "Hi, nyambonu pagile."
It's a free hold.
Then you take that thing back to your house. What is going to happen to your family?
Guys,
finished.
this is
You've killed your family.
getting serious here. This is getting serious. And I heard people saying people dig graves with their own teeth.
Absolutely.
But I think we need to move to the next one. There's another tool that people are using to dig their own graves.
Yes.
And this tool that hangs between our legs. My gents, we are learned by it too now. You can dig a grave with a tool that is between your legs. Just before we go to contemporary issues,
Yes.
I know in some certain cultures it could be sacred, but you in your space as king, you can allow some rituals to be discussed.
Yes.
Not that we desecrate them.
Yes. We'll hear what you
But
say.
we are putting a bridge
Right.
between two tribes and two ancient times. There's this whole thing of the boy child and circumcision.
Yes.
I know particular to the close-up space, and my apologies to them and some of the Ndebele nations. I'm approaching this with great understanding and caution of the sacredness of some of these rituals, without necessarily getting into the details of the circumcision itself. It would be important to hear on the preparation of the boy child how these ceremonies actually worked in terms of preparing the boy child.
Now this is the boy. Remember, I said this is a boy who is born from a family. The husband and the wife and the family, they know that they've got a young boy in their midst. And this boy will then raised with a clear understanding to say, when he reaches a particular age, he will then be sent to the initiation school. Then what happens is that by so doing, they then prepare the boy so that the boy should not feel to be forcefully taken into that space. Okay? Then the boy is then taken into that space. But before they do, the family must do a certain ritual. And that ritual must coincide with the ritual that is done esibayeni senkosi. While the king will then give the signal to say it is clear for them to go for the initiation
Then
school.
each family does their rituals.
Absolutely. Then they give the clear indication. Then they do that. Then they speak to their forefathers to say, you should not be surprised that the young boy is going to go for the initiation. Uyoluka. And in that space, please protect him. Be there with him in that particular environment. And give him wisdom in that particular environment so that he becomes a better person. Then when he arrives in that particular space, then the person who is there is the person who is chosen by the gods. A person who understands wisdom, who understands the nature of education that must, it's not only about cutting, it's about the education that it has been transferred to this particular child. That's why the child, when he comes back, now he becomes now indoorda. He carries now a stick. The boy, then you then move him to his quarters. That's why now two bulls cannot stay in the same kraal. But in today's life, you find a boy uyoluka entabeni, comes back, stays at home. That's where the problem starts, because it's two bulls in the one space.
So immediately when he comes back, akasala endlini.
No, we are figure.
But
then
ideally, you must start now isolating him.
Because he must come to visit his family, knowing that he is a man. Indoda is no more a boy. Indoda uzobona ubaba wakhe oyindoda
naye kwakhe. Wow. This is getting very, very interesting here. Very interesting. I'm learning. I'm a student today, and in the sitting in a library, and I would want to conclude this part, because when you come back again, some of our friends on social media there, I would suggest if you have any questions that you have, scroll them in. The people in the back of the room there will try and read the questions to me, and we can try and answer as much as we can on this particular issue we thought we'd be discussing today: marriages, remarriages, divorce, and etc. And in the event that there is now a divorce, ancient times, how, and I love what you said, that even in the event where a woman could behave in such a manner, if she has been introduced to the ancestors, if she has been introduced to the kraal, you will not chase away.
You don't have a right. You don't have a right. You must rather build a a rendezvous for her to stay there. But you, the husband, you no longer touch that woman anymore.
You don't touch
because it's a decision of the family, it's a decision of the nation to say, because we have tried, you tried, you could not. We have entered the space, we tried, we could not. And therefore we then take a decision as the nation to say, this is where she's going to live. That does not mean that she's going to be isolated. She's part of the family. She will eat with the family.
She has children here.
Absolutely, absolutely. But she's given respect also. You understand? But that does not mean that you have a right to swear at her, to say things at her. No. You always respect her. Madlamin. Yes. You pass.
I think I can hear it from the king himself. You come into this family, you're born in your family as a young girl, you're brought up in your family, in your house, as a princess, as a queen in your own house. You are being prepared to assume a role of building an estate, building a family on the other side. And the boy child, in the similar fashion also, you don't just go for initiation schools to learn how to smoke drugs and do stuff. You go there to learn how to fight as a man, war. You learn how to do agriculture, how to respect the females, and how to live and become an active participant in the community that you're coming from. So you have two institutions here, bringing up the boy child, bringing up the girl child, to unite them and create one family. The child who comes into this family through marriage, ungena lapha ekhaya akangeni ngesende, ungena ngasesibayeni. You don't come through birth, you come through rebirth.
That's true.
In that you're coming through the crawl. You are not born in the house, you are born in the crawl. That's where you have your new name. That's where you have a new fresh skin of an animal that has been killed, that becomes your blanket, that welcomes you into the initiation space, and a new home can be created where both parties, now you came here as a child, you become umama because you're going to bear children in this house. After becoming umama, you will become ugogo because now you have all the secrets of the family from the children you've birthed, your husband, your grandparents, and sooner or later you become the grand matriarch. That now becomes the mediator, the high priest of this home is a grandmother. It is not right that in African culture we don't respect our women, except in the abuse and misunderstanding of culture. The great ancestor of every home, ugogo.
That's true.
And ugogo is not born from here biologically. She is brought here through the root of marriage and through the ancestors. At the end of the day, she becomes the kingpin of mediating for this family with the greater ancestors. If you are a theologian, I don't know how best I can teach you that this is the greatest mediator we can ever find. She, who is born outside of us, becomes one who represents us all together. When you come back after the break, we're going to start asking contemporary questions to the king as to how do we work around present problems in Nyaope, prostitutions, and other things that are happening in your own homes. Please feel free to send us some few questions for the next few minutes as the king is still with us. This is a moment of royalty, just after the break.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.